Actually, it looks like Brandon Alvarado throwing that one in there. Nolan Foster bringing the ball up the far side of the field. Great ball across the middle of the field for Pena. Could not connect on the end of that with Gilliland. Sachse once again restarts possession, working it out of the back. Manny Perez earning a quick foul there for Rockwall. Setting up a free kick from Hudson Morgan. And again, no one's home on that free kick. Sent a very strong ball through, immediately contacted by a Sachse player, set up a new free kick. From 42 yards out, would not at all be surprised to see Foster put this all the way inside the 6, looking for an opportunity to score. Sachse keeper right on the money, making that stop. Sachse quickly restarts, bringing it quickly back up the near side of the field. Earns the throw in. From right along the end line. It's going to be a very challenging situation from Rockwall here. This is a great opportunity to send an in-swinger in for Sachse. Looks like this may be Daniel Dominguez taking this in-swinger, the right-footed in-swinger for Sachse. And he sends out a little bit long. That'll set up a goal kick for Rockwall High School, for Tanner Bailey, Rockwall sophomore keeper. Rockwall gets a throw in from midfield. Looks like that may have been Jacob Archer over there on that sideline. But Brandon Alvarado be the one. Actually, looks like a foul was called. Brandon Alvarado is going to be taking this free kick from the far sidelines of midfield. Again, could not connect on that. Sachse once again wins possession, working the ball back through the middle third of the field. Hudson Morgan sends the ball back in for Rockwall. Andres Pena, foot on the ball. His speed doing a lot of work right now. Great job maintaining that ball inside the Sachse box, and then could not connect at the end. Aiden Ronquillo for Sachse sending the ball across, could not connect with Noah Escalante. So Rockwall will get a throw in. Alvarado once again with a quick throw in from the far sidelines. Manny Perez bring the ball back into the box, hitting Kebron Tewelde. Oh, great opportunity there from Gilliland. He almost got on the end of that, just could not quite connect on it. Great cross there from the Rockwall outside forward. Hudson Morgan once again bringing the ball up. And once again, not able to connect. Rockwall so far seems to be just absolutely okay with sending long balls into the attacking third of the field. Low percentage of success on connecting on those, and it's really limited their possession so far early in this match. Pena hitting Perez a little bit over the crossbar. Would really like to see Rockwall do a little bit better job of trying to connect shorter passes. You know, maybe not the 25, 30-yard long through balls that they're trying so far. Just maintain possession a little bit, have Sachse chase them a little bit more. Right now, Rockwall's doing a whole lot of the chasing, which always is going to come back to hurt you later on in the match when you start to get dead legs from all the chasing you did in the first half. Right now, Rockwall's sending a whole lot of long balls, whole lot of through balls, hoping they connect, and at least early on in the going, haven't been able to connect nearly as much as they would like to. Sachse once again with a quick restart. Daniel Dominguez possessing the ball, bringing it across, switching the field. Over here for Stephen Casillo on the near side of the field, brings the ball into the box. Great job there from Nolan Foster dispossessing him. And now we see Cohen Salazar bring the ball up the near side for Rockwall. Great pass there to Kebron Tuelde, connecting. Once again, Rockwall sending a long ball into the box. Could not get anybody on the end of it. So it looks like Jack Gilliland will have a throw-in over here just inside the 10-yard line, just 20 yards out from the box. Look for a long throw here, maybe get something in the box, creating maybe a potential scoring opportunity off of this. Oh, I think that one got away from him. Maybe a little bit slippery on the hands there. That didn't go near as far as I think he expected it to. So, but once again, Sachse sends it out of bounds. So Gilliland will have another opportunity to do the same thing. Much better throw this time from Gilliland. Much better opportunity. Just could not get on the end of it there. Rockwall had a ball sitting on the ground inside the 6-yard box. Just could not get a foot on it. But a much better throw from Gilliland. Definitely the best scoring opportunity from Rockwall so far this evening. So Gilliland once again, now this time from the far sidelines, from nearly the same spot that he threw the last one in. Another really good throw, gets him inside the box. Sachse keeper does a good job getting up and getting hands on it. Then he gets knocked down. I think they called a quick foul there before it popped out of his hands and rolled back into the net. Well, what are they calling? Now, looks like he did call that a foul. There was a question there for a second. Rockwall seemed to be celebrating a goal scored, but looks like he did, in fact, call that a foul, which was probably the right call. But again, back-to-back, high-quality scoring opportunities from Rockwall. Got a little bit of something going now. See if they can keep this momentum in their favor. All right, Gilliland once again works the ball deep into the defensive third of the field for Sachse. It looks like he's going to earn a corner kick off of this. Who's heading over to take the corner kick for Rockwall? Looks like this is going to be Brandon Alvarado. Left-footed Brandon Alvarado taking it from the right post. So with the left-footed kick, it's going to be an in-swinger, creating much better opportunities for scoring here. Well-weighted ball. Oh, actually a great job from Andres Pena getting up, getting ahead on the ball, just a little bit over the crossbar. Well-taken corner kick. Great opportunity to finish there. Just no results in the end. Benjamin Connolly looks to be checking in for Rockwall. Coming in for Jack Gilliland. You know, our last match we joke about Ben. Ben is about 6'7". He will be the biggest guy on the field every single match that he plays in. And he uses his size to a great advantage. So keep an eye on him, especially on set plays. It's really hard to defend a guy who's a foot and a half taller than the guy trying to defend him. So set plays while Ben Connolly's in the game are a whole different animal for Rockwall. Let's look and see if they can take advantage of that. Great job there from Ezekiel Varghese, getting his foot in, trying to disrupt the tempo and the momentum for Sachse. Sachse, once again, maintaining possession as they've done this entire match. Rockwall just struggling to stay on their front foot. Quick ball just wide left from Sachse there. We'll see Tanner Bailey get this one restarted with a goal kick for Rockwall. Oh, and as I mentioned earlier, we will see a rotation of keepers, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. Tanner Bailey, the sophomore who started the match, is checking out. Gordon Holland, the junior keeper for Rockwall, checking back in. Gordon with a much stronger leg. Tanner Bailey probably a little bit more quick and athletic. But we see the first switch out in goal for Coach Tony Bowles and the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. We'll see how long he sticks with the changes each rotation. Ben Connolly with the ball in his feet. Oh, looks like we've got a quick restart here with Sachse with the throw in. Actually sending the ball back into their keeper, who switches the field. Quick restart. Edward Bertrand bring the ball up the far side. Sends it into Connolly. Couldn't get on the end of it. Once again, Bertrand sends the ball across. Manny Perez wins the ball just outside the 6. Earns a corner kick for the Yellow Jackets. Should be a great opportunity. Again, once, as I said before, especially with somebody with the size of Ben Connolly now being in the match, let's see if Rockwall can take advantage. Looks like that may be Nolan Foster taking this corner from the far corner, a little bit far away for me to see the numbers. Well taken ball. Sachse gets ahead on it. And once again gets it cleared out. Hudson Morgan chases that down, but it takes an unlucky hop off of his leg. It's going to be a throw in for Sachse. Daniel Dominguez brings the ball across the field, switches it up. Connects with Shane Logan down the far sideline. Sachse earns a throw in deep inside Rockwall territory.
Put that one all the way up in the 20th row bleachers there.
Jameson got his headphone and his mic working, finally. Not just me talking for the rest of the night.
There we go, yeah.
All right, welcome on board, Jameson.
I needed something good to come in on there, so
there you go. Yeah, and that's always a problem with soccer is you don't have fans sitting on both sides of the stadium. So when you clear a ball up into the visitor side, one of the players has to go chase it. All right, Gordon Holland with a clean stop on a cross there from Sachse. He allows his offense to get pushed up the field before he clears this out with a nice punt. Connolly maintaining the ball in the middle of the field. Gets the field switched up a little bit. Gets the ball over here to Joshua Chin. And Joshua Chin, that should be a foul. Oh, they missed that. Joshua Chin got played from behind there. The ball went out of bounds. They just called it simply an out of bounds and a throw into Sachse. I think that's a little bit of a missed call. I'm not exactly sure that Rockwall coaching staff super happy with that one.
Yeah, definitely looked a little more, I guess, spicier than it could have been, the trip up there.
Which is, with the last match we broadcast was Rockwall and the Heath boys playing each other in the I-30 Classic, and that was it was a great match, but the referees kind of let the physicality get out of hand a little bit in the second half, and it didn't get ugly, but it got a whole lot more chippy than it should have. Hopefully that's not the case tonight. We call this thing pretty tight. It's a playoff match. You don't want a foul deciding the game, but at the same time, you don't want a missed foul creating missed opportunities for a team either.
Right.
So it looks like Austin Huffam is going to get this ball restarted from the far sideline over there. Again, great job from Sachse's keeper, from Josiah Alvarez, getting in, shutting that play down early. Here we are with about 14 and a half minutes left in the first half. Again, just a reset. Sachse High School up 1-0 off of an early goal inside the first 90 seconds of the match. Since then, it's just been back and forth. Sachse's kind of maintained possession a little bit more than Rockwall has, but Rockwall has certainly had a couple of great scoring opportunities. You look for them to keep working, to keep capitalizing. And again, as I'd mentioned before, would like to see them maintain possession a little bit more than they have so far. It's a whole lot of through balls, a whole lot of long passes trying to connect, and low percentage passes that if you connect on, you're probably going to get a great scoring opportunity, but you're just not going to connect on them that frequently. Sachse's done a little bit better job of maintaining possession. And I can tell you, after all my years as a soccer coach, you maintain possession. Whoever wins the possession battle typically is going to win this match at the end of the night. And so far early on, the scoreboard reflects that Sachse's maintained most of the possession. Rockwall sends that ball out. Actually, Sachse, that came off of a Sachse player, sends it out across the end line. Rockwall's going to set up once again, have another opportunity for a dead ball restart, which is something that we've talked about. They specialize in. Looks like once again Nolan Foster hopefully sends this one a little bit deeper than the last one he sent, but a great opportunity for Rockwall to make something happen here. Great ball, a little bit deeper, couldn't get on the end of it. Looks like Huffam sends the ball back into the box. Great opportunity there.
Wow.
Great opportunity, great save from Sachse's keeper, but they kept the ball bouncing around. Looks like that may have been Austin Huffam that was on the end of that. Great header, forced it right in on the keeper, but once again, Josiah Alvarez for Sachse was in the right place at the right time, made a great save. So, again, Rockwall's creating opportunities. You know, over the last 10 minutes, they've had at least 3 high-quality scoring opportunities, and you keep doing that, you'll get the 1 goal back. You just, at this point in time, you've got to make sure you keep Sachse off the board with any more because, and there was a great shot from about 25 yards out for Sachse. Just missed the right upper 90. That looks like that was Aiden Ronquillo there. Took an absolute frozen rope just over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, it went right in between the crossbar, the football field goal, and then right over the white line there of the soccer net.
Yeah, and I mean, that's about a 2-foot opening. So the guy split that, he was that close to being able to drop that right into the upper 90. So great opportunity there for Sachse. And again, as I was saying, Rockwall's getting opportunities. I don't think 1-0 wins this match, but again, you've got to make sure that you keep Sachse from continuing to create opportunities as well.
Yeah, a close miss or a near opportunity for Sachse there. He couldn't come down with it.
Great ball. Gilliland nearly got on the end of that, creating a little bit of chaos inside the box. Alvarez does a great job for Sachse tracking that one down. Rockwall seems to be ramping up the pressure just a little bit in the middle third and in the attacking third from what they did earlier. Trying to send the ball into the box to Gilliland. Gilliland's working hard to try to maintain possession along with Nolan Foster. Rockwall sends that one just a little bit wide. Connor Shaughnessy working out from his center defender position, trying to make something happen. Got that ball out just a little bit wide. Sachse will have a throw in here.
Yeah, a lot of aggression there from both sides. This is one of those where it's a bi-district playoff round, but only a few miles separate the two schools, and obviously a couple of these players probably have at some point somewhere probably played with each other in a little league somewhere before maybe. And
there's no doubt. I mean, even on a high school pitch, I'm sure these kids have crossed paths at some point, whether it be previous seasons between Sachse and Rockwall or just club seasons or whatever the case may be. Yeah, because these are both 2 high-quality teams that are both expected. It's a shame that they have to meet up in the first round because these are 2 teams that coming into the season were both expected to make runs in the playoffs.
Right.
And now here they are in an absolutely bare-knuckle brawl
Yeah. And there is if you look out across the horizon, you can see the big flag there that sits off of I-30 from up here top of the press box. So
yeah,
not far, not much separation between. And Sachse is even closer than where we are to Rockwall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just straight back out 205 to 78, and next thing you know, you're in Sachse. All right, so Rockwall trying to drive the ball, switching the field with long passes. Andres Pena back in the match for Rockwall. Jack Gilliland contains this one just inside the Rockwall attacking third of the field. Looks like Austin Huffman sent the ball back in. Joshua Chin once again chasing the ball. Rockwall's starting to one of my favorite phrases as a soccer coach, when I would teach younger soccer players or when I was coaching my high school players, the best thing you can do inside the defensive third of the field is just create chaos. Rockwall's starting to do a much better job of creating some chaos. They're keeping balls alive. They're working a little bit harder, whether it's heading the ball, whether it's chesting the ball down to their feet. They're working a little bit harder to maintain possession than they did early in the match. It's creating some chaos, and out of that chaos has come a couple of good scoring opportunities. Hopefully they've got the energy and the stamina to keep that up for a while. Another just under 8 minutes to go here in the first half. And once again, 1-0, Sachse up early in this match. Josiah Alvarez gets it restarted quickly for Sachse. Bring the ball back up to Julian Hinojosa. Gets dispossessed there by Andres Pena, the super freshman for Rockwall. Sends the ball back at, got a little bit, Joshua Chin got his feet a little bit twisted up there trying to maintain possession. Nolan Foster sends it back to Hudson Morgan. One of the things is this match goes on, Hudson Morgan, you see him playing deepest right now at that center defender position, but you keep an eye on him because the more desperate that Coach Bowles becomes, the more you're going to see Hudson Morgan start to push up into the attack. Rarely do you see a team whose center defender is such a key proponent or a key portion of a team's offensive attack. He's a center defender, but also one of the leading scorers for this team this season. As somebody who had the great fortune of coaching Hudson when he was in middle school, I can tell you that he played defender for me, but he was my leading scorer for 2 years at Utley Middle School from his defender position just because he's such a dynamic player. He has the ability to take over a match, and certainly I would expect if this match is still close late, you'll see Hudson starting to push up, and you'll see him put everything out there to try to get this thing evened up.
Yeah, and they know that obviously at this point it's win or go home, and you got to do everything that you can to stay alive now, and it's do or die. Because it's win or go home, and you obviously want to be on the lighter side of that and not have a season end so early. But like you said, both of these teams had hopes and are expecting to make a deep playoff run this year.
Well, Jameson, as you and I were talking about, while we were still trying to get things set up prior to the broadcast, I mean, Sachse is a team that's not lost a match since mid-January. And it's been almost that long since they've scored less than 3 goals in a match, which is unheard of in high school soccer. They're like I said, they're an offensive juggernaut, and they displayed that early on in this match. Rockwall is just the opposite. Rockwall is much more defense first. They're much more trying to win a match 1-0, and they're probably not at their strongest when they're having to come from behind. But here they are. They find themselves behind just short of halftime in this, as you say, win-and-go-home game. And so this is going to be a real interesting opportunity for Coach Bowles at halftime to figure out how do we change up our typical strategy because we've got to come from behind. Great opportunity there. Looks like that may have been Manny Perez trying to send the ball from the far side of the 18-yard box, hitting it just a little bit wide right. But again, they're creating opportunities. Rockwall's created more opportunities in the last 10 minutes than they certainly did in the first 15 minutes of this match. So they're doing the right thing. You've just got to stay the course. You've got to make sure you keep Sachse from putting a second notch up on the board and give yourself the full second half and the next 4.5 minutes every opportunity to get this thing tied. Great job there from Pena, working the ball out wide. Isaiah Ivey also back there helping defend at this back right outside back. Stephen Casillo getting the ball restarted here for Sachse. Looks like Connor Shaughnessy may have gotten up and bumped noggins with Cameron Sparks for Sachse. He's gone down. It's one of the things, as somebody who coached soccer for a long time and coached football for less of a time, but still for a significant amount of time. Most people always look at football and think I'd never let my kids play football because of the injuries and all the challenges that comes along with physicality for playing football. But per capita, Rockwall soccer creates more injuries than any other sport does. And, the amount of ACL injuries, the amount of concussions, things like that come out of playing soccer are pretty amazing with the frequency that they happen. And it's just because it's the one sport that short of shin guards, you're not wearing any padding. Everything out there is exposed. So, it's always incumbent upon these referees to make sure the game doesn't get out of hand. Didn't seem to be anything out of place with that play. Just unfortunate. A couple of kids went up to head the ball and bumped noggins.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, you talk about, needing the shin guards, and you would think soccer is just one of those sports that you could just, play in the backyard, but get kicked in the shin a few times. It could do something to you. Nice steal.
Rockwall with a great dispossession. Once again, sending a long ball in. Gilliland does get on the end of it, see if he can continue to maintain possession. So far, Rockwall's maintained. Gilliland's got the ball out wide right, just outside of the 18-yard box. Looks like he sends the ball off of the Sachse player's foot. Should create a corner kick for Rockwall here. And I'm going to assume, once again, this probably is going to be Brandon Alvarado coming over to take this. And, in fact, it is. So, once again, set play opportunity for Rockwall. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first half. Well-weighted ball. Oh, great opportunity. A late runner in there, but a great job from Josiah Alvarez for Sachse getting up and getting a fist on that. Pretty sure that was Hudson Morgan that came in from out wide as a late runner, looking to get on the end of that, but Alvarez just beat him to the punch, literally. So a quick restart here for Rockwall. Hudson Morgan bring the ball in, and unlucky just slips off the foot of Alvarado. Sachse will get an opportunity for a restart with exactly 2 minutes left in the first half. Sachse sends a long ball down. Morgan chasing it out off of Hudson Morgan. Sachse with the restart. Minute 30 seconds left in the first half. At this point for Rockwall, I think the key is you get into halftime 1-0, figure out what you need to do from here. But, great opportunity. A ball that snuck through right there. Unfortunately for Sachse, they couldn't get on it quickly enough. Ball chased outside of the 18. Then they're going to have to reset back out high. Ahmed El-Trash bringing the ball in for Sachse right in the middle of the field, 30 yards out. Daniel Dominguez sending the ball out wide. Sachse with an opportunity. Oh, my great save from Gordon Holland. That would have been absolute nightmare. Sachse did a great job working the ball across the top of the 6-yard box. Holland got down, made an initial save, gave up a rebound, and while he was prone on the ground, a great job getting a hand out to stop the rebound shot. Otherwise, Rockwall would easily be down 2-0 right now.
Yeah, it looked like he saved one off of his left foot, and man, just nice awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of those that I always love watching, in hockey, the cool saves, that how they just see that puck through all the traffic, and right there you had 5 guys running at you, but you're worried about that one thing, is not letting that ball go in.
It's that focus. It's just the ball. That's all you care about. So Sachse sends this ball deep past the end line. Gordon Holland with a chance to a goal kick to get this started back up. I certainly would expect him to use up these last 5 seconds and get us to halftime with no worries. And that's exactly what he does. So as we go to halftime here tonight at Homer Johnson Stadium, we have the Sachse High School Mustangs 1 and the Rockwall High School Yellow Jackets 0. Great first half. It started off in the worst possible way for Rockwall, with Sachse scoring inside that first 2 minutes of the match. Got down on the first shot and got it just inside the right upright. But the great news for Rockwall is you have an entire another half to figure this out. You've got an entire another half to get out and get this thing tied up. Worst case scenario, you get it tied up, you take it into the 2 10-minute overtimes and look for a winner there. Best case scenario is you figure out a way to get 2. And I think with if I'm Coach Tony Bowles, I'm figuring out how to change things up early on in the second half. I'm figuring out how do I take the game to Sachse, and because for way too much of the first half, Sachse took the match to Rockwall. Rockwall was having to be reactive instead of proactive. I have a feeling that Coach Bowles right now is talking to these kids about, which, again, as I said, that's not unusual for Rockwall. They're a defense-first team. But he's talking to them right now. We've got to take the match to Sachse early. The best possible way that this thing shakes out is Rockwall comes out in the second half, gets a goal early, gets this thing evened back up, and then all of a sudden the momentum switches. Right now, even though Rockwall played really well the last 10, 15 minutes of the first half, the momentum's not completely on their side. I think there's a little bit of confidence in them that they can make something happen, but that doesn't equate to momentum. So right now it's figure out how to get on the front foot, figure out how to be the proactive team and force Sachse into being reactive, because for all the pluses and minuses of soccer in that Garland ISD district, we say Sachse hasn't lost a match since mid-January, but then the question is how many times have they been challenged? Right. And so far tonight they haven't really been challenged, and that's going to be the big thing is put them on their back heels, make them feel a little bit challenged, make them feel a little bit worried. That's going to be something unusual for them. Rockwall's not been they've been behind before the season. It's not the first time that they've been in this situation. It's been a long time since Sachse's been in this situation.
Yeah. Well, I think you've said it best all night, is that Rockwall loves to play from behind. And, when you look at any sport, across the board, being down 1-0, being down 1 score at half, one run halfway through the ball game, or if, down a touchdown or whatever, you're good. You're not in a hurry mode. You're not in any type of, just keep playing your ball, and, let what has gotten you to this point continue to carry you on through to the next round, because, but once it gets to a point where, hey, it's fight or flight, you're going to have to get in that moment, but you certainly don't want to get there, but you let your ball take you further than where it's already gotten you.
Yeah. Rockwall's got dogs that can run in this race. Right. They've got guys who are dynamic offensive players. It's just they run a system that even those dynamic players, the Jack Gillilands, the Andres Pena. I'm sorry, I could not think of the freshman. Manny Perez, Jacob Archer. These are guys who thrive in an attacking setting, but in the system that Tony Bowles has here at Rockwall, that's not their focus. You've got dogs that you can unleash, and I think that's what Tony probably needs to do. Because again, as you said early, Jameson, it's win or done.
Right.
This is win or go home. And, you have to have in district, you're having to look at, point goal differential. You're looking at all these other things that go into district standings and that kind of stuff. You don't look at any of that once the playoffs start.
Right.
I don't care if I lose this match 3-0, but I'm not going to lose it with leaving anything on the table.
Right.
I'm going to put everything else, everything that I've got out there to get this one goal back, to get a goal in ahead. And if it ends up costing me in the long run, losing, nobody's going to remember whether you lost the match 3-0 or you lost the match 1-0. You're only going to remember that you lost the match. But you want to make sure that you put everything that you've got, every tool in your toolbox, you put out there tonight to try to get that goal back, get the momentum swung on your side. Because I truly do believe if Rockwall can get that momentum fully shifted and have the wind at their backs, they have every opportunity to be moving on and doing this again next week.
Well, and I think if they come out here and they score early here in the second half, get ahead, and get some of that momentum going early for them, I think that would help them later down the stretch of the second half to really be able to get that final goal to take that one-goal lead towards the end of the match and be able to pull it off late. But, like we said, don't have to get anything early, but like you said, getting some of that momentum, it would help out a lot.
100%. And I mean, and again, I think, it's a tale of two cities. It's once you get that wind at your back and take it away from that other team, then the struggle switches sidelines. The struggle moves to the other side, and that's a heavy load to try to carry in the second half of a win or go home match. So one thing I promised you that I was going to do, because Chris Curtis and I, who we normally broadcasting these soccer matches together, he gives me a hard time all the time that I'm always 2 degrees of separation from everybody in the Rockwall County orbit. And I thought it was funny when he reached out to me and said, because we've got 3 different matches going on tonight. We've got the Heath girls playing tonight. We've got the Heath boys playing tonight, both of them playing Wiley High School. So Chris was covering one of the matches, and so he said, no, you're going to be broadcasting with Jameson Starrett. And I'm like, this is full circle for me because I'm sitting here next to Jameson. This is the first time I've been in the same room with Jameson since he was probably 6 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
Because part of the reason that I've even sitting here in this broadcast booth tonight was because I was a long time involved in club soccer and all of that, but knew I wanted to be a mid-career changer and knew I wanted to be an educator. And so, here I was involved in club soccer, wanting to be a teacher, needing somebody I'd had my degree, had gotten certified and all that. And then I showed up at Mesquite High School one day applying for a position. And the principal at Mesquite High School, I wanted to be a social studies teacher, didn't care anything about coaching. I was already coaching. And her deal for me was, I'll hire you as a social studies teacher if you'll promise to come in and coach our soccer team. I'm like, well, okay, if I can't do anything, I know I can coach your soccer team. But the funny thing is that person who hired me was Christy Starrett, Jameson's mom. She was the principal at Mesquite High School that first hired me and took a chance on me as a teacher. And I think I owe her quite a bit because these last 16 years or so as in education have been the greatest 16 years of my entire professional life. And, we talk about Tony Bowles, the head coach at Rockwall High School here, and I know he owes a lot to her as well because we both coached together. I was the girls varsity coach at Mesquite when Tony got hired by Christy to be the boys varsity coach, or actually came in initially as the boys JV coach, and then after just a couple of years took over as the boys varsity coach. So he and I go way back with your mom. And then to make it even more full circle, then your mom's now in senior administration at Crandall ISD, and then you went through Crandall ISD, and you were the quarterback for my great nephew when y'all were on JV together, my nephew Will Tipton.
Yes,
and
yes.
So, Charlie and Will Tipton both went through Crandall at the same time you did, and you and
Yep.
Will were teammates. And so I'd made that connection yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I think Chris is right. I am 2 degrees removed. I'm 2 degrees separated from everybody and anywhere in the Rockwall
Right.
ISD orbit.
Yeah. Full circle for sure. And,
It's a small world.
Yes, it
Texas
is.
is a big state, but it's a small world.
Yeah, don't know if we have anyone listening or tuned in outside of Texas. I know you can find the network anywhere, but
We actually did 2 weeks ago.
did really?
We had
Okay.
listeners from Argentina.
Wow.
We were broadcasting because part of it we were broadcasting the Heath boys and the Rockwall boys.
Yeah,
And
a lot of people.
Diego Rodriguez, somebody that I've coached for a number of
Uh-huh.
years and know his parents. His dad's family's all from Argentina. His mom's family's from Ukraine. So we had listeners from both Ukraine and Argentina 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Don't know that we have that tonight, but
Let's see. If they're watching that, I'm pretty sure there's a way that they can text in, right? Or they can comment.
You can make
in
comments.
in the comment section if you are wanting to comment in and let us know where you're watching from. It looks like Nathan Tran
Nathan, my
has
buddy.
texted in. He's listening.
Nathan is the social media giant of Rockwall County. He is on top of it all the time, and I guarantee you by the time we leave this match, I will have at least 3 Facebook Messenger messages from
Come
Nathan.
on.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
Let's go.
Nathan he's more connected in Rockwall County than I am. So, yes, please feel free to reach out. I am sure Kelsey Bowles has already commented somewhere along the line something that I've done wrong, but I love you, Kels. All right, we are ready to start the second half. 40 more minutes to go for both the Mustangs and the Yellow Jackets to see who moves on to play again next Tuesday night. I assume it's going to be Tuesday. For this half, Rockwall's going to be moving from our right to our left. Sachse will be moving from our left to our right. Again, as Jameson and I have both said throughout halftime, I think it's huge. Rockwall needs to come out. They need to be aggressive, and this is 40 minutes of proactivity. It can't be 40 minutes of reactivity for Rockwall.
Right.
Looks like Nolan Foster and Jack Gilliland are going to start out in the center of the field for Rockwall. Andres Pena is up over here on the near side. Looks like maybe Isaiah Ivey on the far side. Rockwall sends a deep ball, earning a goal kick for Sachse. One of the things I think you look for with Sachse also in the second half with this 1-0 lead, look for them to slow the pace of the game down. Every time Rockwall sends the ball across the end line, expect Sachse's keepers to take an extraordinary long amount of time to get this ball back into play. Because again, it's gamemanship. There's nothing wrong with it. You're looking to eat up time. I'm going to set on this 1-goal lead for as long as I possibly can. Sachse with a deep run real quickly here. Cameron Sparks brings the ball down. Hudson Morgan does a great job working the ball out. Off of Morgan's feet, Sachse will get the first corner kick from this near flag here in the second half. Looks like this may be Giovanni Vasquez taking this for Sachse. Back deep in the box. Oh, actually a great job from Sachse getting on the end of that. Skim that right off the top of the crossbar. Once again, sticking to his game plan. Tony Bowles, Tanner Bailey starting back out in goal here in the second half. Just as we saw in the first half and about midway through, fully expect him to see him heading back to Gordon Holland one more time to finish out this match.
Yeah, Gordon had a couple of good saves there late in that first half, and one that could have put it really out of a big deficit, big gap for Sachse there late.
We're 2-0 if it wasn't for Gordon's work on that
for his left
last
foot.
opportunity. Yeah, exactly. All right, Brandon Alvarado sending the ball back outside to Pena out here deep on the near sidelines. Andres Pena is a freshman, and he is going to be an absolute beast before his high school career is over. I got to see him play a little bit last season when he was at Utley, and he was a one-man wrecking crew for the Utley Wolves. So I'm not at all shocked to see him not only getting varsity minutes as a freshman, but getting huge varsity minutes as a freshman. He's going to be a huge cornerstone for this program for the next few years.
Yeah, I think, just saying his name alone tonight in this position with this game says a lot about who he is as a player. Definitely has a lot of talent to be here, as a freshman, where, some of those other guys, it takes a couple of years to work up to those varsity games that, you dream about playing,
Well, it's as you related earlier, this is a playoff match. It's you win or go home, and it's one thing to give a freshman some considerable minutes as a varsity player in some nondescript district or non-district match. It's another thing to give a guy heavy minutes in a game that it matters to everybody. For these seniors, it's for the seniors on one of these squads, it's their last high school soccer match they'll ever play. And for some of them, maybe the last organized soccer match they'll ever play in. And, yeah, you're putting a lot out there on a freshman. That tells you a lot about him, that he's got the trust of this coaching staff already. All right, Rockwall gets the ball worked in deep. Gilliland tries to get a quick turn on it. Could not get it back across the box. Once again, earns the throw in from about 15 yards out. Gilliland looking to get his – looks like he may be having a little bit of issue with his ankle there, trying to shake a little something out. Gets a good throw there. Good ball in. Looks like Manny Perez got on the end of that, but flicked that a little bit high and a little bit outside. So Sachse once again gets the restart. Looks like this may be Matthew Aguilar that is in at goal. No, that's still Josiah Alvarez in goal for Sachse.
Almost made it up to the second level there of the.
Yeah, he got a little bit under that one. Looked like that may have been Cameron Sparks there for Sachse. Sachse did a really good job, and they've done a really good job all night long of what we call working inside out, outside in. They work the ball out to an outside mid coming up, then they work the ball back in to a center mid or to a forward, work it back out. Keep Rockwall chasing. That's what they've done a really good job of maintaining possession on, that Rockwall hasn't done quite as good of a job with. But, that last possession for Sachse was just another great example. They just zigzagged the ball down the field, inside out, outside in, worked it into a little bit of a scoring opportunity that they just got underneath a little bit. Once again, Sachse's working the ball back in, works it outside. Opportunity here. Off the right post. What a great opportunity to finish that from whoever the left mid is for Sachse. I'll try to get a number for you in just a second. But that was a great opportunity from about 25 yards out on a frozen rope and just hit the far post. And if it's 3 inches further to the left, that ball is ricocheting in. Instead, it was 3 inches out and did not finish the way that young man for Sachse was hoping.
Oh, and that one had some smoke behind it as well. You could hear the doink all the way up here in the press box.
Once again, Sachse bring the ball down. Daniel Dominguez working the ball out wide. Got the ball back on his feet in the middle. All right, Rockwall earns the throw. Gets it quickly restarted, but could not connect on the end of it. Jacob Archer working the ball through. Got outpaced just a little bit. Looks like that ball went out of bounds before the foul occurred, so Rockwall's going to get a throw in. Archer gets it on his feet, takes a turn toward the flag, and looks like he has earned a corner for Rockwall. Great job there. Very physical effort here from Jacob Archer. Brandon Alvarado seems to be heading over to the flag, setting this up for another free kick opportunity for Rockwall. I've not kept track tonight, but they have to be on at least a 2-to-1 ratio of corner kicks over the opportunities that Sachse's gotten. But as of yet, they've yet to be able to capitalize. See if this time turns out a little bit different for them.
Yeah, it feels like most of their scoring opportunities have come from this moment right here.
Hudson Morgan got on that, got a head on it, but didn't have a great angle. Sends that ball over the end line. Once again, Sachse and Josiah Alvarez getting ready to get this thing restarted from a goal kick opportunity. So we're 8 minutes into this second half. 32 minutes left. Still 1-0 Sachse over your Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Sachse with a quick win in midfield. Switching the field. Sending the ball across. Great job from Alvarez there, working to maintain possession, but a little foul called very quickly there on Rockwall. Sachse will get a free kick to restart this. Daniel Dominguez setting up over the ball for this free kick for the Mustangs. Sends it right into the middle of the 6-yard box. Oh! Real opportunity there. Looked like Cameron Sparks just almost got a foot on the end of that. He gets a foot on that, and this is a 2-0 match very quickly. That was a great ball in from Dominguez.
I think the opportunities to score for Sachse have come a lot easier here in the second half. They just haven't been able to capitalize on one. It almost feels like this game should almost be close to 4-0 now. I think that was almost a third opportunity to get a...
Well, it very well could have. It very well could be. And, I mean, again, as we were saying earlier, that's what Sachse does. I mean, them getting up 3-0, 4-0 over an opponent would be nothing new for them this year. And you know, that's a struggle. And that's why that early goal given up by Rockwall makes this such a more formidable hill to climb because, you know, now you're not just chasing that one goal, but you're chasing that one goal with a team that stays on their front foot, and they're used to staying on their front foot and taking the attack to you, and they're kind of relentless when it comes to that. And Rockwall right now is struggling, you know, being a half step behind from time to time. But again, despite all of that, it's still 1-0, you know, and one opportunity. Rockwall's created opportunities, one opportunity to put something in the back of the net, and then the entire personality of this match changes. Great work there from Jacob Archer. Absolutely all over the place, defending, trying to win possession back, trying to force the ball in. Just relentless effort right there. And Rockwall needs to have more of that from all 10 players on the field right now. Nolan Foster working hard, gets a little nick to the opponent's ankle. Looks like Sachse's going to get a free kick from just inside their defensive third of the field. Long ball sent in. Hudson Morgan on the end of that. Sachse sends it back, heads it back into the middle of the field. Once again, Sachse maintaining possession. Quick foul called. Rockwall will get a restart. Rockwall will get a quick restart here on a free kick. Shaughnessy and Morgan standing over the ball. Hudson sends a long ball down. Could not get on the end of it there. Looks like that was maybe Austin Huffman trying to get on the end of that one. So once again, Jacob Archer working hard. Just could not get somebody into the box to connect with that.
Sachse making it very difficult for Rockwall to get a good angle at a good shot, and they're really doing a good job of getting the ball and keeping it down here in the offensive end, but just haven't been able to break through just yet. But it almost just feels like it's getting closer every second that goes by now.
Well, and the boys are aware of that. You know, we've talked the last couple of possessions. Jacob Archer's really worked hard to try to make something happen. But then you start to look down and you start to see, really, really good opportunity here from Sachse. You start to look and see which of these kids are seniors, and you see the Jacob Archers that are seniors and the Cohen Salazars and kids like that, and those are the kids that right now you fully expect they're going to turn it up to 11 because they know this may be it for them. They're going to give everything. They got great opportunity there. Rockwall, great job getting the ball across the box. So you look for those kids, those seniors, to step up and literally leave it all on the field. But you also have to be careful, too, as a coach. I don't want those kids thinking I've got to do it all, because then all of a sudden it gets your whole rhythm off. Then it's 10 versus 1 on the field instead of 10 versus 10 with your field players. And you don't want those kids to get such tunnel vision that they just lose sight of letting somebody help them, because no one kid's going to win this thing on their own. And that's always something, having coached in these situations before, it's one of those things you've got to make sure that you're prepared for, that you're paying attention to as a coach, to keep this kid focused. I want him to work his tail off, but I don't want him to become inefficient just because he's working hard. All right, great opportunity. Rockwall had the ball inside the attacking 30. Looked like may have been Brandon Alvarado there with the opportunity, but sailed that one a little bit over the crossbar. So once again, Sachse will set this up with a goal kick.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Also, when you, as a coach, one thing that I had always heard is coaches hated the senior nights and the homecoming nights on being planned on their biggest nights, because they're like, it can throw you off sometimes, and sometimes that can tie into a playoff game where it's, for some of these boys, it's going to be one of their biggest wins of their life and one of their biggest moments, biggest games, or to others, it's going to be one of the most heartbreaking losses that they'll ever have to go through. And so it's one of those that the coaches know, like you said, have to stay focused on getting the job done and just doing their job, their part, to affect the entire team.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want senior night every season to be against our Sisters of Perpetual Mercy or somebody like that. I do not want it to be against Longview.
You don't.
I don't want it to be against Heath. I don't want it to be against a big time. Looks like the Heath keeper made a save here, tried to keep the ball. I mean, the keeper himself can be across the end line, but as long as he keeps the ball inside the end line, then it's still not a corner kick. But it looks like the referee called that the ball did cross, or the referee's assistant on the far side called that the ball did cross the line, so that earns another set play, another corner kick here for Brandon Alvarado and the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, again, these are these best opportunities, and you almost want to ask, when are they going to run out of those opportunities to score from the corner? Because, like we said, that's their best opportunity all night for the Jackets.
Completely. Great job there. Worked the ball back in. Alvarado worked it back in. Looks like it kept alive there from Andres Pena, and then I believe that was Austin Huffman that came in to try to clean that up. Once again, just off the crossbar. We're not missing these shots by miles. We're missing them by inches, but we're still missing them, but we're taking them. So 24 minutes, just over 24 minutes left here to play in this match tonight. Rockwall starting to turn up the heat just a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see if Sachse takes advantage of that. As Rockwall starts turning this heat up a little bit more, does it create more breakaway opportunities for Sachse, kind of like what we're seeing right here?
Here we go.
Great opportunity here. Cohen Salazar. And that should be another goal kick. Earned. Oh, no, they're calling that. It should have been a corner kick earned, but they're calling that a goal kick. I think that was completely off the keeper. If we had replay, we had VAR here, I'm pretty sure that this would be a corner kick for Rockwall, but unfortunately the referee's assistant on that end of the field is on the opposite sidelines from where the play occurred, and she missed that. But again, to your point, Jameson, you're not going to have endless opportunities on these set plays, and they've got to start making something happen.
It looks like Rockwall's going to sub as well.
Joshua Chin coming in for Cohen Salazar right now. And Alvarez sending the ball up to midfield for Sachse. Great job there by Connor Shaughnessy working that ball loose. Morgan sends the ball back into midfield and loses his footing trying to come back to win it back. Opportunity here for Sachse. Great job by Connor Shaughnessy right there, working his way back after Hudson Morgan had gone down. He was kind of on an island. Connor did a great job working his way back, took a great angle, dispossessed the ball before the Sachse player had a chance to shoot. Gilliland breaking him back down inside the 18. But again, I think that was supposed to be a shot, just not necessarily a well-taken opportunity there. Would much rather see Rockwall right now doing everything they can to work the ball inside the 6, looking for whatever chaos, whatever lucky bounce you can find, because at this point in time, this is when the coach reminds all the players, I don't care how pretty the shot is. I don't care if the shot deflects in off your left butt cheek. It still counts.
Right.
So let's get the ball inside the 6-yard box. Let's create as much chaos as we can. Great job working back there from Hudson Morgan. Andres Pena once again stepping in, maintaining possession.
Yeah, it looks like some mouthing going on back and forth down here between, I believe it's 13 of Sachse.
Derek Gonzalez.
Yeah, and can't see what number that is there.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that. Kids are going to start to get frustrated. Kids are going to start to be, there's going to be 16, 17-year-old kids. They're going to be a little bit cocky, or some are going to be a little bit frustrated. And so, yeah, as this match goes on, no matter the outcome, you're going to get that from one side or the other. Rockwall finds a way to come back and tie this thing up, then the whole narrative of that conversation changes as well.
You know, I think Rockwall's going to have to start taking some shots, you know, as they're moving down the field. I think they've done a good job of getting it on this half of the field, the offensive half of the field. But once they get down here, Sachse does a nice job of, you know, swarming to wherever the ball is and forcing a turnover and getting it out of the zone.
They do. Austin Huffam, who's great on these long throw-ins, getting the ball inside the 6. And again, this is about the time that I expect to see Coach Bowles start to bring Hudson Morgan a little bit more into the run of play offensively to get into the attack, and that's going to expose you defensively. But again, losing 2-0 is no different than losing 1-0. Mm-hmm. You want to try to get that one back. Great through ball there. Great job from Hudson Morgan coming in and picking that off, working it back into Andres Pena. Great ball out wide there. I think that was to Edward Beltran. So Huffam once again set this up for a long throw. (19 minutes and 30 seconds left here in the match. Sachse High School up 1-0 over your Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Huffam with the throw. Nicely done inside the 6. Ball's bouncing around. Nobody weren't really active enough inside the 6. Once that ball hit the ground, it should have been feet everywhere, and there was a lot of flat-footedness there. Again, another errant shot. Well wide left of the goal. Sets up a goal kick for Sachse.
Yeah, and Rockwall, you know, you can tell there slowly as these mistakes start to get made, you know, more of the players realizing the mistake on themselves and realizing that every mistake made down the stretch could not only cost you the match, but it will cost you your season.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, there's still enough time that I think the biggest, you know, I won't say concern, but it just every possession has a higher value. Every possession turns the pressure cooker up a little bit more than the previous possession did, and the kids will start to feel that. Right now, they still look and see that there's plenty of time, but as each minute ticks off the clock, that's when the screws tighten a little bit more. You try a little bit harder. You try to do something on your own a little bit more, and again, it's going to be incumbent on Coach Bowles to keep these kids focused on we're still playing as a team.
We mentioned the stadium earlier, the ball being kicked up high, and, it also helps not having the track. You don't have to run after the ball and cause the clock to tick off. It'll bounce off that concrete there, or, maybe get lucky enough for it to bounce somewhere close here on the home side of the stadium for somebody to throw it back quick, so that way the time doesn't tick, because it'll get down to that moment where every minute, every second will become valuable.
Absolutely, and you'd be surprised as a high school coach how much of an argumentative point that is every year at the district coaches meeting, is deciding, are we going to have ball shaggers at district games, or are we not? Because some of the stadiums are set up. I mean, all my years coaching at Hamby Stadium in Mesquite, and the north side end zone fed down into 4 acres of grass that was a training area for our throwers and football and stuff like that. You send a ball past the goal on the south end of the stadium, you may be chasing it for 10 minutes.
Right.
And so but you had to have consistency. Do we allow shaggers, which you would have your JV kids posted behind each goal to track those balls down, or do you just let the clock run? Rockwall just snuck one in. They headed the ball off of a set play. It literally bounced, and just unfortunately for that Sachse keeper, just bounced a little bit outside of his reach. So we have tied this match up 1-1 with 16 minutes and 17 seconds left in the match. Were you able to see who got on the end of that? It looks like everybody may be celebrating with Ben Connolly right now.
I believe it was.
That 6'7", 7'8" frame of his. So great job there. And you hit the nail on the head, JMO, earlier. You've only got so many opportunities for these set plays during the course of a match, and at some point you got to take advantage of it. And there you go. We've got a brand new ball game with 16 minutes left. See if Rockwall can keep this momentum turned in their favor, because this is not a position that Sachse is accustomed to being in. They haven't been in this position in probably since non-district.
Well, and I think, we mentioned this, and I think that this comes at a perfect time. You couldn't have asked for that goal to come at a better time than not, or at all, because we've been waiting for that. If you're on Rockwall's side, you've just kind of been waiting for one of those to finally sneak past the keeper, and one did there. And now the momentum clearly on Rockwall's side. And like you said, this is a position that Sachse hasn't felt this way. And so, in all game, they've been in command since early on. And so for Rockwall, or for Sachse, they're out there now, and they're like, okay, this is either going to go into penalty or overtime or extra minutes or whatever. And, but they also know now that we can't just play so relaxed. We also got to go get another one back as well if they want to take a lead. So probably see some more aggression here as the match continues, because like we said, those feelings for Rockwall can now also be starting to play into the feelings of some of those guys on Sachse.
No, 100%. I mean, everything that we've mentioned over the last few minutes that Rockwall could be dealing with, now Sachse's, it's on the plate for them. Again, it's been a while since they've not had the lead in a match. It's, it's been a while since they've not had a multiple goal lead in a match. And here they are, 14 and a half minutes away from the end of a do or die game. And now you're tied. And now you're one lucky shot away, one fortunate bounce away. So you see how Sachse reacts to this. Rockwall has all the momentum in the world right now. Great opportunity, great long ball. Ben Connolly looking to get on the end of it. Couldn't quite get it controlled. But, for Rockwall, it's, that you literally had a monkey on your back that you just kind of got rid of at least a big chunk of it. You feel a little bit better. The mistake of the first 90 minutes, a little bit rough right there. Looked like Hudson Morgan kind of cut off the other player. The other player jumped on Hudson's back, took him to the ground. It looks like the Sachse player has earned a yellow card for that. Grabbed Hudson up around the neck, threw him down on the ground. He's got a jersey pulled up. Can't exactly see who that is. But again, we were just talking about the frustration. That may be a sign of a little frustration coming through there. It looks like that may be Julian Hinojosa, if I'm seeing that right, maybe number 9. So
and I think one of the guys for Rockwall that scored or somewhere, he was down there in the mix earlier, and so he could be having that thought of, man, that one was on me that slipped by, or I could have prevented that. And so obviously we mentioned it, that frustration will be amped up a lot here as well.
One of the unique things, if you're not familiar with UIL rules with soccer, if you get a yellow card, you are forced to sub out. Now, you don't have to stay out for any particular length of time, but you do have to sub out. Typically a coach will bring that kid out, get him cooled down a little bit, get him a drink of water, and then sub him right back in. So I would not be surprised to see Hinojosa, if that's who it was, back in the match pretty quickly.
Yeah, it looks like if that was Hinojosa, he's number 9, I believe, and yeah, he looks like he's already back down there.
Yeah. All right, so 12:45 left in this match, or at least in regulation. I guess I should qualify that now. Of course, if we are tied at the end of regulation, we will play 2 full 10-minute extra periods. Will not be a golden goal. You'll play the entirety of both 2 10-minute extra periods, and then if it is still tied at the end, then we will go to penalty kicks.
Yeah, so a lot of soccer potentially still to be played, but like you mentioned earlier, Rockwall able to get that goose egg off of the scoreboard and kind of just breathe a little bit, if you will.
But I can tell you for certain that I'm fairly confident that I have a great relationship with my cardiologist for having coached in too many matches that went to penalty kicks. I don't want to have to call a playoff match that goes to penalty kicks because it is the worst possible way to decide the outcome and who moves on in a match. I understand you can't play forever, but it's the most heartbreaking outcome for whichever team doesn't push through. So let's hope we get a winner here in regulation. Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you have games like that, and then you have other games where it's a complete and utter blowout. And games like I think. My mom was telling me earlier today that, her cousin is Trisha Williamson, the head Forney soccer coach, and I believe that they won by mercy rule, I think, the other last night. They had to – so, like you said, there's games that, you might – it might, add a few gray hairs to the head, but then there's games that you get to lay down your head at night and, just – breathe a little bit easier going into the next week.
Absolutely, but as a coach, you don't remember those games as long as you remember the other ones. Rockwall doing a great job putting pressure on, keeping the ball down inside the box, working a little bit harder right now than they have earlier in the match. I think they're feeling themselves a little bit more, not quite as worried as they were. It's actually a great job working the ball across the middle of the field. Little quick slide tackle there from Connor Shaughnessy that came up empty.
Might be an opportunity for Sachse here.
Oh, great save by Holland. Great clearance there from Hudson Morgan. Get the ball outside of the 6, but Sachse with a point-blank shot. Gordon Holland with his cat-like reflexes right there once again.
I mean, literally.
It's at least 2 goals that he has saved on his own just with his reflexes.
Yeah, looks like the freshman checking back in.
Andres Pena checking back in. Looks like Banny Perez, Jack Gilliland coming back in, as well as Nolan Foster. It's a great job by that group of attackers that are coming out right now, but Now you get most of your starters back in the match, looking to in this next 9 minute and 45 seconds to be able to pick that second one off somewhere in here. Holland sending the ball deep in the midfield. Perez gets ahead on that, but could not connect that with anybody, so set up a quick throw in here from Sachse.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned the getting your starters back in right here with just 9 minutes left to play. I think perfect timing. Couldn't have wanted them or needed them in a better moment than down the stretch here, and to get them to have that moment to rest and get them right back for the time that you need them is going to be crucial.
No, I was already thinking that as well, that, timing for this rotation, and there's a strategy that goes into your rotational philosophy. Mm-hmm. Great job from Tony Bowles, because he's getting the guys back in with just over 9 minutes left, which is a really great pace to keep your kids on. You should be able to keep them fresh for the vast majority of that time. Kudos to Bowles for working his main scorers back in at the critical moment of this match.
Yeah, and stuff like that goes into as the keeper runs out for that one.
Very close. I think there's a issue here from Sachse that they felt like Gordon Holland came out and was outside of the 18-yard box when he came down after having made that save. He was right on the line. Obviously, we don't have the luxury of replay, but
it was close.
Yeah, it was close.
Looks like they're discussing it.
We probably is a whole lot better off if he just comes out and he plays that ball with a fist and just sends it back up. But the fact that he went up and caught the ball and then came down, then everything comes down to where did you land when you came down. And it looks like referee's going to have a talk with the assistant referee over here and make a determination.
One, I think it was just a bang-bang momentum play, if you will. I think, his momentum kind of carried him down.
He's going to set this up as a free kick, not a penalty kick, but a free kick from Sachse here, just outside of the 18-yard box. Now, this is difficult because Rockwall will be able to make a wall. This is a difficult angle to score from, but I would rather have this shot and have the opportunity to score in a match like this than to not have to worry about it.
Right. This is one of those that...
Nope, and he sailed that just over the crossbar. Looked like Sachse ran a little misdirection there. They kind of ran through, had some motion going there, then everybody kind of stopped like they were complaining and hoping to get Rockwall flat-footed, and then the kid ran up and took the shot, took it just a little bit high.
Well, I think you said it best. I think that, Sachse, that what better opportunity than right then and right there to get an opportunity at a shot on the goal and just missed it again.
Absolutely.
We talked about that one earlier that just made it, but that 2 feet difference between the field goal and the soccer goal,
between the football crossbar and the soccer crossbar.
And that was one of those that that's one of those shots that you can make once in your lifetime and never do it again.
Yeah. Yep. Completely. All right. So 6 minutes even left on the clock. Our match is now tied up 1-1 between your Rockwall Yellow Jackets and your Sachse Mustangs. Sachse sets this up. Josiah Alvarez sends the goal kick back out to nearly midfield. Great job of dispossessing there from, I think that was Cohen Salazar. Andres Pena working the ball down. Sure to earn a throw in there for Rockwall.
Yeah, coming down to just 5 minutes now, and these are those moments that we were talking about a moment ago where it's starting to get to that crunch time where you're not going to have many more throw-ins from down here on the offensive end where you can set up a play and try to get something in, but here's an opportunity here.
Jack Gilliland with the throw. Not able to connect, but he gets the ball back, sends it right back in. once again, earning another throw from Rockwall. You know, as long as they keep the ball down this end of the field, you're giving yourself a chance. Oh, great opportunity there. I think that was Salazar. Once again, on the end of that long throw, just headed it just over the crossbar. Sachse sending the ball out to midfield. Picks up a foul there. Looks like Cohen Salazar on the foul. Sachse will get the free kick.
Yeah, and the crowd slowly starting to get into it as well. I don't know if the viewers watching can hear, but we weren't able to get a crowd mic outside tonight being up in the box, but there was definitely a good crowd showing from both sides of the schools and making noise here late.
Great job there from Hudson Morgan clearing out a cross there that nearly had somebody right on the end of it. Great ball there for Gilliland. Just could not quite control it on the receipt. That was a great ball in there from Kebron Tweldy, I believe. Gilliland just couldn't quite get it to his feet quickly enough. Otherwise, that would have been a great opportunity. 3 minutes left here at Homer B. Johnson Stadium. Still tied 1-1 between your Yellow Jackets and the Sachse Mustangs tonight. This bi-district playoff match. Hudson Morgan setting up the free kick here for the Jackets. Oh. Good job there from Josiah Alvarez picking that up quickly before Cohen Salazar could get in to finish that off.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how well that Rockwall can run well with Sachse down the stretch. They have a lot of speed, and they can certainly get the ball down the field quickly. And
well, they do, and to a certain degree, you know, I think they've got the capacity to be maybe even a little bit more physical than Rockwall does at time as well.
Yes,
time as well, and you know, obviously, if we end this next minute and 50 seconds and are still tied, we're going to play 2 full 10-minute extra time periods. That's going to be an extra 20 minutes, and then it becomes a war of attrition. You know, how deep are you?
Right.
We talked about rotation earlier. All those things are about to become even more critical than they were before. So a foul there on Hudson Morgan, setting up a free kick from just about midfield for the Mustangs.
Yeah, the Rockwall fans not happy about that one down below, as we sit almost right on top of them, it feels like, here at Homer Johnson Stadium.
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier, one of the oldest complexes in the area. I think, what'd you say, that you played more than or something?
I somehow feel like that's a shot at me.
No, not at all.
Yes, it's one of the oldest complexes in the Metroplex, yet I played here when it first opened. So
yeah.
I
talked to my parents about it, and their dad was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I played a few games there a time or two.
Oh, yeah.
West Mesquite alum.
Was our home stadium when my younger brother Rodney and I were growing up and going to North Garland. All right, 20 seconds left here in regulation. Andres Pena, the misplay there from the Sachse defender trying to clear the ball out, came off of the top of his heel, sets up a corner kick with 8 seconds left for Rockwall. Try to get it up and get it finished. And Sachse gets that cleared out, and it looks like we will be going to added time. And Jameson, I think I'm going to need a nap.
Well, it's You get a little bit of a break, and then like we've mentioned all game, we knew that it might get to this moment where you're going to need those guys to step up down the stretch. Looks like they're going to put on a 5-minute timeout.
Yeah, you'll have 5 minutes between each period. Again, for those of you who are not familiar, this isn't a golden goal situation. This isn't like hockey that you go into overtime, first team that scores wins. You're going to play every minute of these 2 10-minute added periods. If somebody comes out and scores in the first 3 or 4 minutes, you still play the remainder of that 10-minute period, and then you take another 5-minute break and play the next 10-minute period. And if at the end of those 2 10s you're still tied, then you go to goal kicks, which are just absolutely one of the most stressful events in all of sports. If you ever watched penalty kicks in whether it's the World Cup or whatever matches you may be watching, they're excruciatingly stressful for the kids. They're excruciatingly stressful for the fans, and they're life-changing for a coach. But to your point, as we were talking about earlier, this now becomes a war of attrition. Yes, I understand these are young kids, they're young legs, they're not going to completely run out of juice, but some of these kids, especially Rockwall, chasing that one goal for so much of this match, they've left a lot out there. And, the question is, we complimented Bowles earlier for doing a great job of being in a position to rotate most of his starting attackers back in with about 9.5 minutes left, and that's a great job. But then the question is, how good of a job did you do working in some of those guys off the end of your bench in the first half? How much are you now going to have to depend on some of those guys who didn't get to play as much in the regular run of play? Do you now have to consider putting them in, or are you good with your starting 10 and then the next 5 that come off the bench? Are you good with them for the next 20 minutes? Are they good for the next 20 minutes? Because what you can't afford to do now is be a half step behind at any point in time. And Coach Montgomery for Sachse, he's got the exact same problem. How deep did you work into the bench throughout the course of the regular run of play? How fresh are those legs? If you committed too much time to your starting 10 field players during the 80 minutes of regulation, are you now going to regret that during the next 20 minutes of overtime?
Yeah, and I think you said it best, and I think it goes back into the summer practices and all the dates back to the off season and all the things. You get those legs ready to go the stretch down these moments, and this is what you plan for all season to make the playoffs. But it requires those lungs and the hearts and the legs and all the muscles and everything to be able to go the stretch that there's only X amount of teams that get to keep playing past this point and even past just district play throughout the state. And to be one of those teams, it takes, a group of tough guys to be able to do that. And, most certainly both of these rosters know that they have those guys to do that, to make the run. And I think that we're seeing a pretty well evenly matched teams, I guess, that you could say, with, just both of them having a lot of momentum shift back and forth. Who's it going to be down the stretch? And I think that that's what we're going to get to see here into these 2 overtime periods. And you were explaining it. So you said that if they score, you keep playing till the 10 minutes is up. And if the score is changed, then obviously you get a winner, right? Or do you have to play those 2?
No, you're playing every minute of the 2 10-minute added periods. I mean, Sachse or Rockwall could either one go up 3-1 in this first 10 minutes, but you're still going to play that next 10 minutes as well. So we're in for 20 more minutes of playing time. One of the things I'm curious to see with Tony Bowles and with his rotation at keeper, he started out the match with Tanner Bailey in goal, and then we bring Gordon Holland in, did the same thing in the second half. Do you do that same thing here in the 2 10-minute periods? Do you split up the 10-minute periods between Bailey and Holland, or do you give one of them the first 10 and one of them the second 10. It looks like Tanner Bailey's coming out to start this first 10-minute period, along with seems to be most of the other starters. So all I can say at this point is buckle up. I mean, we've had a heck of a match so far. You know, we had Sachse, who jumped out very, very early in the match, took a 1-0 lead, and nursed that through the vast majority of this match. And then late in the match, Rockwall came back and tied it up with a header off of a set play. And so here we are, brand new ball game. You know, even though it's 1-1, we're starting over, and we've got 20 minutes, 2 10-minute extra added periods here to determine a winner. And I would say, just like I did when this match started, you know, get out early. Whoever gets out early, you saw the difference that it made for Rockwall once they got that goal. Just like it made the difference for Sachse earlier once they went up early. Once Rockwall came back and tied things up, you saw the momentum start to switch in their favor. And momentum's now equal. You know, both sides are at a net 0. And it's who takes that tiger by the tail early on here may make all the difference in the world. Gilliland with the ball. Oh. Definitely getting a little bit chippy out there, a little bit physical. I think you could have called a foul there, not anything serious, but you certainly could have called a foul there on Gilliland, and he got away with it. And you know, hopefully referees do keep this under check, because I promise you that nerves and tensions are going to be rising over the next few minutes. All right, Sachse working the ball back to the middle of the field. Great job there from Brandon Alvarado cutting that ball off, reconnecting with Manny Perez right there at midfield. Works the ball back over here to Cohen Salazar. So far, a little bit of feeling each other out here early on. I don't think either team wants to expose too much right away. Most of the match through these first couple of minutes is being played right here in the middle third of the field. Nobody wanting to give an inch, but obviously nobody wanting to give up an inch either. That ball gets set well up into the stands. Edward Bertrand over here for the Jackets, getting ready to start to restart this with the throw in. Bertrand once again looking for Pena. Sends kind of a wild ball down just outside of the 18-yard box. Manny Perez working the ball, trying to get it to Jacob Archer. Brandon Alvarado carrying that ball out wide, earning the throw in, quickly gets it restarted. Archer sending a ball down deep for Perez to try to track down. He does. Works the ball back across. Good opportunity there.
That might have been the best look that Rockwall has seen in a while there, pushing the ball up the field.
Yeah, that was a great job for Manny Perez staying with that. Good job there from Bailey coming out, cleaning that up. Sending his punt back out to midfield. It's one of the challenges for Rockwall that they've had for most of this evening. you know, what you just saw with Pena right there, they do a good job of winning the ball in the middle of the field, and they just turn and send a deep ball, trying to connect with their striker. Sachse's done a great job of leaving both center backs back on that striker where he's rarely had room to breathe, room to move around. You know, Rockwall would kind of like they did on that last possession where they were able to get the ball down, work the ball out wide, and then try to work it back across and connect with your striker from out wide instead of just working middle of the field to deep center of the field. Rockwall working him back out. No call. Ball went out of bounds. It looked like the referee's assistant was looking at the center referee. The center referee wasn't looking at anybody. And finally, the referee's assistants give the ball back to the Yellow Jackets for a throw in here.
Well, it looked like his original signal was Sachse ball, and then I don't know. Maybe he.
Nobody wanted to take
take
charge on that one.
Yeah, you know, we talked about everybody knows that it's getting down to the crunch time. Even the referees know at this point that you don't want to be the one that responsible for the controversial call late.
Yeah.
Don't want to be the bad guy for sure.
We're just past the halfway mark on this first 10-minute added period. We're at 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Sachse's first opportunity to really get the ball down deep inside the 6-yard box or just outside the 6-yard box for Rockwall. So again, you know, an opportunity for each team, but nothing that's really manifested itself from it yet. With just under 4 minutes left here in this first overtime period.
Yeah, and I think the Sachse fans thought that maybe that ball had deflected off a Rockwall defender.
Yeah. I think they think the keeper touched it before it went out, and unfortunately, I don't know that either the referee's assistant or the referee were in a great position to make that call one way or the other, which is not the first time that we've seen that tonight. Great give and go there from Sachse. Great job from Hudson Morgan picking the ball back up. Great job not picking up a foul down there inside the box. Sachse still gets possession, gets it back across. Great job there from Tanner Bailey getting the ball cleaned up, getting his team pushed up the field, sending the ball out on a punt with 3 minutes left in this first overtime period. Sachse working the ball back. Switching up the field a little bit. Brennan Alvarado over there for Rockwall.
Sachse with an opportunity here.
Edward Bertrand got caught a little bit flat-footed there. Oh, I'm pretty sure Bailey got a hand on that.
I think he did.
I'm not sure if that also hit the post as well, but very, very fortunate on that one.
I think his deflection allowed it to deflect off the post. I think had he had not gotten a hand on it, I think that one would have snuck right by the post.
Very well be right. A well-taken shot from about 30 yards out for Sachse. Sets them up with a corner kick. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left here in the first overtime period. Oh, way too much chaos in the box there for Rockwall's liking. Sachse comes in to clean that up, but off the crossbar, but the football crossbar, not the soccer crossbar. Bailey once again sending this ball back out on a goal kick.
Well, that was the confusion that you talked about there. You like to see, but it just happening for Sachse.
Yeah, it's the chaos. Chaos is your friend when you're attacking. 1 minute, 30 seconds left here in the first of our 2 10-minute overtime periods. Andres Pena working this ball in the middle of the field. Sachse maintains possession, works it back up the far sidelines. Brandon Alvarado steps in, sends the ball back up. Nobody's home there.
Yeah, I love watching the aggression of the freshman, though, that even though that this game might not be his last high school game, he's still playing. Wow.
That's a tough call there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a defender stepping up to play the ball, an offensive player that was coming through full head of steam and calling that foul there on the Rockwall defenders a tough spot there.
Yeah, and
I think it got called just because it probably looked worse than what it was. You had 2 Rockwall players going down, 1 Sachse player going down, but again, that's kind of a let them play call.
yeah, one of those that it just happened, and like you said, it looked like a big collision. You know, if you would have blinked, you wouldn't have saw what happened, but definitely sets up an opportunity for Sachse.
Nope, just over the crossbar. Well taken. These Sachse kids have some cannons for legs. As we wind down the final 10 seconds here of this first 10-minute overtime, looks like this will get us to our next 5-minute break. And it does. Brings us to the end of the first 10-minute overtime here at Homer B. Johnson Stadium, where our score are your Rockwall Yellow Jackets 1, your Sachse Mustangs are 1 also. We've got another, looks like they're going to do a 2-minute break here instead of a 5-minute break. So another couple of minutes, and then you got 10 more minutes to play. Everything we talked about at that last break is even more amplified now.
Yes, 100%.
Legs. You don't want cramps. You don't want little nicks. You don't want ankles. You don't want anything right now that's going to slow you down. Not a tremendous amount of opportunities for either team in that particular 10-minute, but both of them had some opportunities. Wouldn't expect a whole lot different in this next 10. This is not going to turn into one team's about to get 7-8 shots on goals in the next 10 minutes, and the other team's going to get 4 or 5. It's going to be you got an opportunity or 2.
Yep.
Sachse had the chance down here just a few minutes ago. Tanner Bailey did a great job getting a hand on it. Came off the left post as well. Rockwall had a great opportunity on the cross earlier from Manny Perez to Jack Gilliland. Just couldn't quite get on the end of it. Here's what it comes down to. You get that opportunity again in the next 10 minutes, whichever team you are, you capitalize, or this is going to come down to penalty kicks.
Yep.
This is going to come down to crossbars and post and, a kid, Andres Pena, a 14, 15-year-old kid, or, a young 16, 17-year-old kid that's going to come down and realize, I got to put this thing in the back of the net, or all my teammates are going home. It's the worst. It's the most sickening feeling.
It's hard.
And then you get down there and you put that pressure, and then the kid's guys went over the crossbar, and it's like, oh, my gosh, that happens. As a coach, that happens, but you don't want the kids to be in that situation. You want to take that 1 or 2 opportunities you're about to get over the next 10 minutes, and you want to put one of them in the back of the net, and you want to get on the bus and go home.
That's right. Well, and I think Pena, though, tonight for Rockwall, playing like he doesn't want to get into that situation. I was kind of hitting on it there a little bit down the end there before Sachse kind of got into that little mess. But, Rockwall, Pena, take a guy like him, perfect example. Like you said, this game could come down to it being in his hands. And he, guys like him, they don't want to get to that situation. And so they're laying it out on the line right now. And, you talked about it, these seniors playing like, some of them, it could be their last game. But for guys like Pena, they're just still playing to play. They want to move on. They want this team to move on. And that's what you talked about, it's bigger than playing for yourself now. You're not playing for your personal stats or your personal goals. Like maybe, you might try to break a single season record in the regular season or things like that. It's your ultimate goal is hoisting that state trophy in April.
Yeah. Now, your ultimate goal right now is I want a trophy tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I'll worry about the next trophy next week. So one quick change to note, as expected, Coach Tony Wells has put Gordon Holland back in at keeper for Rockwall. Sachse with a quick run right here, shoots that ball a little bit wide right. Gordon Holland down there. As we said, it's an odd strategy. I was always a big fan of I want the keeper that's got the hot hand. I'm going to leave that keeper in the match. Tony has stuck with this all season long, and it's worked for him. You can't question it. It works. And good on him for not giving up on that in this situation either.
Well, and I think it goes into what you were saying. You know, there's no need to change anything this late in the season. You know, you might sit here and we could say, you know, because I'm the same way. If your pitcher is pitching a late game, and why take him out when he's sitting there, you know, wheeling and dealing behind the, you know, from the dish, and it's the same when it comes here. You know, you would think that, but when it comes down, if it works,
if it
just
ain't
keep
broke,
doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's right. And so that's what hopefully can work out for Rockwall if they get an opportunity to. So far, haven't had or needed to save anything just here yet, but running out of time. But who would you choose to put in if you had to get into that penalty kick situation?
I mean, the guy I would tell you that I'm, would be counting on most of all would be a senior leader like Jack Gilliland. But as I sit here and say that, I look at Jack out there at striker, and he is hobbled. He has got something, I can't tell, maybe his left ankle, but he is definitely pulling up. You can see him bending over right now, grabbing both those ankles. He's got something right now that's keeping him from being full speed. But, I mean, when you go to penalty kicks, I was always a big fan of when we got penalty kicks, I'm letting the kids volunteer. I'm not going to make somebody go take it. I want five kids are going to go out and take this kick, what five want to take him. And I bet you Gilliland's going to be one of the first ones that step up, and I bet you the second one's going to be Hudson Morgan, the center defender. He is that's kind of his specialty. I mean, that was the difference in the I-30 Classic a week or so ago, was Hudson Morgan converting a penalty kick in that match to bring the Yellow Jackets the win. Guys who have been in big pressure situations. I know Gilliland, I know Hudson Morgan, I know Connor Shaughnessy. These kids have played in events like Dallas Cup throughout the years. They've played internationally. They've played in a bunch of high-pressure situations. That's the kids that I hope want to step up and take it. But, again, I'm never going to force a kid to take penalty kicks. I'm going to ask a kid to take penalty kicks because if you're not feeling it, I don't want you taking it. Sachse with another run in. Great job there from Hudson Morgan once again. Nice little side tackle to get that ball cleared out. Sachse back on the throw-in quickly. Good job getting that ball in. Oh, great job from Gordon Holland. Sachse had a late runner coming on the far post. Holland just got up, used that size of his to get up over the top. Uh-oh. Got tripped up there a little bit. I believe that was probably Connor Shaughnessy right there. That other center back position. Just got feet tangled up.
Yeah,
good
nothing
call.
Intentional. Yeah.
No, but good call. That's a foul.
You talked about, people volunteering and stepping up to take the goal, but who would you have back behind defending between these two solid keepers?
I mean, it's hard to say. I like Tanner Bailey because his athleticism, and that's a huge part of being a keeper. I like Gordon because Gordo's got a big body, and I mean you can't teach a big body. But again, hard for me to say because I coached Gordon Holland for 2 years in middle school, and not a single one of those matches did he ever play keeper for me. I never knew he was a keeper until he got to high school. He was a center defender for me. So who am I to judge who should be in goal? I can't even find keepers when they're middle school players that turn out to be awesome high school keepers.
Obviously, Coach Bowles, though, going to put in who he thinks can get the job done. And
it's interesting because, again, hot hand. But, I trust him, obviously, because he works with these kids all the time. I got to tell you, if you're putting Gordon in to play this second 10-minute overtime, I would lean towards leaving him in there instead of bringing Tanner Bailey back after setting out for 10 minutes. I would leave the guy that's in there, but heck, who knows? Tony may alternate him every penalty kick.
Yeah, that's also true.
All right, long throw in here from Austin Huffam. Finds Hudson Morgan, who's dangerous from anywhere on the field.
And coming down to the just under 4 minutes now. We talked about at the end of, the regular in the, down there at the end of the regular 90 minutes. And,
pressure ramps up.
Yep. It's getting down to these final moments where you're running out of opportunities. Got to make the most of every one that you get here from here on out as time slowly ticks away.
Yep. So looks like Sachse's got the throw in here. It took a minute again to get that call made and determined. So, we've had about an extra 30 seconds run off the clock here while they're waiting to sort that out.
Yep.
Ben Connolly in, pressing the ball down deep. So Sachse once again with a throw in deep in their end of the field. 2 minutes and 57 seconds left here in this second and final overtime period.
If I'm Sachse right now, I'm fine letting this ball, roll around, and if the refs need to talk about something, I'm fine with that, because I think Sachse in this, when it comes down to it, when you look at the shootout, they've got the stronger legs. And I think if it gets down to the shootout, I think Sachse, from the way that tonight has looked, is going to have that upper hand. And I think that if you are Sachse, you're wanting to get to that shootout. And so they're fine with all this time killing with the ball being in Rockwall's end. But I think if you're Rockwall, you've got a good opportunity with the ball down here in your end of the field to get something going.
Well, on one hand, great opportunity. Bang! Oh, my gosh.
Bang!
Oh, my gosh.
There it is. There it is.
I believe that was Connor Shaughnessy, if I saw that right.
It was
Upper
the tall
90, right? Was that Ben Connolly?
I don't know. I don't know.
It happens so quick, but that's
it was number 3.
No,
or 5.
5. Yeah,
5.
That's Connor Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
My kid Connor right there. Right. Upper 90, right side, 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. We may not need to worry about who's going to be in goal and who's going to be taking the shots. Just an amazing last couple of minutes. And to your point, Jameson, pressure now, it's on beyond maximum for the Sachse Mustangs. You've got less than 2 minutes left. You've got to send every single ball up the field that you can. I mean, that's one of the things right now. You don't have any time. You can't call timeout. You don't have any time to really reset yourself. But if I'm Coach Montgomery right now, I'm sending a couple of my kids, a couple of my forwards, I'm sending them up never deeper than midfield, and I'm just telling kids, send this ball back up the field as quickly as you can.
They gave him
a red card. Well, now you got one less guy on the field to do that with.
Not what you want.
Not what you want. Not sure what that number was.
Derek Gonzalez, the senior, and obviously that's
Gonzalez,
that frustration we talked about there. There's perfect example of it.
Yeah, and you hope you don't, but you may see more of that over the next minute and a half. You hope not, but. If I'm Coach Montgomery, even again, it doesn't matter if I lose this match 3-1 or 4-1 or 2-1. I want to do everything I can to get that one back. So I want to leave guys up. I mean, right now his striker is pushed back down in between the 25 and the 30 on their defensive end of the field. I'd just leave a guy up and just try to send long balls and hope to run on it, because you're not going to do a lot of building with a minute and a half left. To create much of a solid scoring opportunity, especially down 1 now. You want to get a ball through and run on it.
Well, and I think we talked about it perfectly. It's set up right where you wanted it. If you're Rockwall, you got the rotation in that you wanted. You got the guys in that were hot, that have been hot. And obviously a lot of frustration coming in now on the field. We talked about something that Rockwall would have to battle going into the end. Now, if you're Sachse, though, it has turned into something where now it's on them that it is definitely tough.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Rockwall just needs to stay back, keep the ball in front of them, And as you talked about before, clear the ball as far back up into the visitor side stands as you can every single time and
Yep.
and run this clock out.
Yep, and I think Rockwall starting to sense it, that goal might have been the one to seal it, as looks like they're trying to get this call right here. And they gave it to Rockwall. They did. They got it right.
Yeah. Yeah, they've struggled. This crew has struggled just a little bit on being definitive on their calls tonight.
Yeah, and when it boils down to it, you look at something and that might be something that you could say that was a factor, but when at the end of the day it doesn't matter. You get what you get, and it's crunch time now.
Soccer is an incredibly difficult sport to officiate just because it's such a big field and so many things going on at all times. It's we've struggled in the state of Texas keeping soccer officials for a number of years because parents don't seem to understand and appreciate how difficult it is to officiate. And again, at the end of the night, if it takes you a few minutes to get the call right, then by all means, take the few minutes. Just get the call right whenever you can.
Yeah, Sachse with an opportunity, though, here. And there we go.
Good job clearing that out. Pena tried to clear it out as far as you could, but get a little bit of an unlucky rebound right back onto the field.
And we go under a minute now.
45 seconds. Sachse with an opportunity here. Rockwall not doing a great job clearing this ball out. Keep in mind, Sachse is playing down a man.
There we go. And they're going to call.
Oh, that was a delayed call, too. An extra 10 seconds ran off the clock, which is not doing Sachse any favors, having such a delayed call. I do agree that was a foul, and it should have been called. It just should have been called probably 10 or 12 seconds quicker than it was.
Yep. One more opportunity.
Right. Oh, Gordon Holland with the save. With the save.
The time ticks down.
Perfectly crossed ball, headed but right into Gordon Holland's breadbasket, and the Rockwall Yellow Jackets come from behind and win an amazing by-district soccer match tonight, 2-1 over the Sachse Mustangs. Rockwall coming back with literally just a couple of minutes left in the second 10-minute overtime period to score on a Connor Shaughnessy goal, taking it home 2-1, live to play another day.
And that's what we talked about all night. It wasn't something that would be a major blowout win. We didn't think that from the beginning, and we certainly, the fans got their money worth. We've got our money's worth tonight.
Yes.
It was such a great defensive match that came down to the stretch. We thought it might have been something that would have gone into a potential shootout. Coach, we wanted to see it maybe to get those emotions and all the things amplified. But at the end of the day, the Jackets, they come back and they take it 2-1 here in this bi-district playoff round.
Well, it's the best possible outcome, not just as if you're a Jacket fan, the best outcome. It's the best outcome because the game got determined in the run of play.
Yeah,
like I said, it's there are, yes, if you go to penalty kicks, if you go to a shootout, yes, there's a winner and a loser, but it's really hard to lose a match that you can't go out and try to defend. So you always want these things to end in the run of play, if at all possible. Yes. That's exactly what we got tonight. Yep. And, man, we couldn't have asked for anything more than what's an absolutely amazing match. I mean, the first goal 90 seconds into the beginning of the first half, and the last two goals coming in the last couple of minutes of regulation and the last couple of minutes of overtime.
Yeah, and so Coach Bowles and the Jackets will await the golden ball, something that teams, as they make their way over to the Rockwall faithful, who made the drive across, for some it was 66, for some it was 30, but
with as quickly as those kids just scaled that fence to run up and hug their families and their parents, maybe I was wrong about being worried about how much strength they had left in their legs. They could have played all night.
A lot of emotion shown as Coach Bowles receives the trophy. Is something that you plan on not only to get to this spot in the season, but
it looks like Coach Bowles is making Principal Dane Steinberger climb over the fence. I'm not sure that Dane was prepared for that tonight, but he did manage it without making too much of an embarrassment for himself. So congratulations, Dane. Now you have to get back over the fence to get back up to your family.
Coach Bowles showing some excitement there. Gets the high fives from the people that he loves most, and obviously that family, friends, and
well, I mean, just it's super exciting. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's the first round and I'm telling you, that first round Golden Ball trophy you win. It not that I've ever been there to receive a state championship trophy, but every one of these trophies that you get to celebrate with your kids that you've spent all these months with, and for these seniors, the kids that you've spent all these years with, and to be able to celebrate every one of these trophies, it matters. Yep. And that was always my thing is, if you ever go back to Mesquite High School or you go back to Utley Middle School, every trophy that my kids put in the trophy case were the nastiest looking trophies ever because the last thing we would do before I put it in the trophy case, I would hand the trophy to the boys, or if I was at Mesquite, hand a trophy to the girls, I would want them to smudge it up with their fingerprints as much as they could. Because when we put it in the trophy case smudged up, and I said, then 10 years from now, when you bring your kid back up here and you show them that trophy and you show them the fingerprints, that's mom's fingerprints.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Or that's dad's fingerprints on, that district championship trophy at Utley or whatever the case is, because every trophy for these kids,
that's right.
Tony's going to go on and going to coach for many more years. These kids are only going to play another week or two.
Yeah, that's right.
It matters.
It does. And that's why you do it right there. That moment between the team with your guys that for some of them have been playing the sport together since you could even enroll in a soccer organization in the area. And this is why you do it. It's, like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the final state trophy. It doesn't have to be, it can just be just getting that thing that is going to say, man, we did that in 2026, senior year. For some of those guys like Pena, man, they get to build off of this. Some of those younger guys get to get that feeling of what it's like to win. And when you can do that and you can get something going, it shows them that, hey, this is the new standard. We're winners around here. We win playoff games. And so that's something that, Coach Bowles is trying to build, and he's doing it well.
Yeah, I mean, this game sets the pace for the next game and the next year and the next generation of Rockwall Yellow Jacket soccer players, and all those kids on that. So, folks, just stay tuned in. Follow us on Rockwall ISD Sports Marketing on Facebook, on all the social media sites. As soon as we know information on next week's playoff schedule, we'll get it posted. I would certainly anticipate that we'll know that certainly probably in the next 24 hours or so. So just keep an eye out, and I have no doubt that Chris will have teams in place. We weren't able to get updates tonight on the Heath games to find out how the boys and girls from Heath did, but however many matches that we have next Tuesday night, I'm sure we'll have teams out there covering them to bring you the absolute excitement of Rockwall ISD soccer for at least one more round.
That's right. So we'll sign off from here. From Homer Johnson Stadium in Garland, Texas, Reggie Webb, Jamison Starrett, and all of us here at the Rockwall ISD Sports Network, we say thank you and good night from Garland.